Last class, I was discussing vegetative phase of a fungus is called thallus. In plural, thallus, we call them thalli. So there are different types of thallus, plasmodial, unicellular, mycelial. Mycelial is filamentous, elongated, thread-like thallus. They are of two types, aseptate and septate. Pseudomycelial. There are another type of thallus, mycelial thallus. It is called pseudomycelial. Actually, they are not cling or they are not originally attached. They just join together, cling together in a chain. So it look like mycelial, but they are not originally mycelial. So we also studied the outer structures of a septate hypha. And last class we discussed the septa or cross walls in the mycelium. And we discussed different type of septa, complete cross wall, complete septa, perforated septa, multi-perforated septa. In perforated septa, we discuss Oronin bodies, look like a gate or door. Oronin bodies is nothing but spherical, membrane-bound, proteinaceous organelle. Spherical, round, membrane-bound, and proteinaceous. And they control, fungi control their protoplasm movement from one cell to another by using these Oronin bodies. And another is multi-perforated septa we discussed last class. And Dolipore septa, we told you that there is a, in septa, there is a swelling, bulge or bulged area, swelling area. So, and this swelling area also covered by a perforated cap, which is called parthenosome. And this type of septum is called Dolipore septa. Last class, we also discussed the modified structures of mycelium, how fungal mycelium modified in the different substratum. So we said rhizoid. Rhizo means root. What usually used for minute or small thing. So very small root like structure. Cannot see by our naked eye. Only can see in the microscope. So for example, rhizopus. Hostoria. We discuss hostoria. Fungus grow on surface of the plant. They take their nutrition. They take their nutrition by inserting a special structure called hostoria. Rhizomorph. So these are rhizomorph. Look, rhizo means root, morph means like or shape, root shape. So they are look like root shape, bigger plant, and you can see in the naked eye. So they are called root forms, like root. So these are rhizoform. And we also discussed the stroma and sclerotium. They are a special structure, and this structure they form in their unfavorable condition or passing the unfavorable condition, the condition when they cannot do or survive their normal life. In that case, they like to build or they like to prepare some special structure called stroma and sclerotium. Stroma is also a aggregated structure. When many mycelia in together produce a structure called stroma. And sclerotium also same. But what's the difference? Stroma, in stroma, hypha is not tight or what I said, they do not make any very hard structure, somewhat loosely aggregated, compact mass, but not tight as sclerosium. But in case of sclerosium, they produce very hard and firm structure. We discussed last class in long time. So today we discuss the reproductive organs. Reproductive organ. Actually, I will discuss the reproduction. So before reproduction, it is important to discuss reproductive organ because it's very not so easy, actually, not so difficult. But if you study reproductive organ, it will make you easy for study the reproduction. Very easy if you concentrate. If you are not in the class, you will see very tough. So how many present in the class? 220. Still some students are joining. Why? I don't know. So reproductive organ. First reproductive organ is sporophore. So what is spore? Actually, spore is something I told you in some class that spore is nothing but seed-like structure of fungus. Actually, fungus do not produce any seed because seed has embryo, but fungal reproductive structure have no embryo. So in that case, we call them spore. So sporophore means something related to spore. So what is spore? You know, I told you. Again, I will tell you later on. And what is phore? Phore is nothing but a stalk where spore grow. Where spore grow, this is called sporophore. That means আমরা যদি বাংলায় বলি যেই জায়গার মধ্যে স্পোর গ্রো করে, যেই জিনিসটার উপরে স্পোর গ্রো করে সেটাকে বলা হয় ফোর. So here you can see many spore here in the blackish. These are spores. One fungus produce maybe millions or trillions of spores. So what is spore? Spore bearing stalk, spore bearing branch, spore bearing special hypha. So these are four. So specialized hypha holding a spore forming cell or body is called sporophore. I believe you understand. Sporophore means sporophore is a specialized hypha holding a spore forming body, cell or body. Even if they are not spore also, if they contain spore forming body, this is also sporophore because their spore will grow. So here these are the sporophore. This is sporophore. Here another thing you can see, conidiophore. Conidiophore. So conidiophore comes from the word conidia. You can see conidia. You will be master of this word because every time you have to say this spore, this conidia. Nobody will teach you again. If I say conidia, you will understand what is conidia. You know. So very easy. You have to. So conidia is some structure like spore. So there are some little differences between spore and conidia, but basically they are similar. They are spore body or they are reproductive structure. Of course, asexual or sexual reproductive structure. They are reproductive structure or unit like seed, like plant seed. They have this structure. Later on I will discuss what is conidia. Okay, so conidiophore similar. Phore means stalk. So conidiophore means the stalk or the branch which contain conidia. which contain conidia. So these are called conidiophore. You will study all of this in your practical class. So if you do not remember, you will be trouble. Be careful. Please study. Please study. I want to say you again, please study. So these are conidia, these are spore. So this branch which contains spore and spore forming body or cell, these are sporophore, and the branch which contain conidia or conidia forming structure like vesicle or other. So these are called conidiophore. Do you understand all?
Yes, sir.
Okay, very good. So now spore. Spore, what is spore? Spore is a minute propagule lacking of preformed embryo, lacking preformed embryo, lacking a preformed embryo. So spore is a minute propagule. Minute means minute, very small. We call tiny something is called minute. Propagule is a unit which used for propagation. So spore is a minute propagule lacking a preformed embryo. That means they have no embryo. They are lacking embryo. So they are not seed or plant. Plant seed contain embryo. So again I tell, spore is a minute propagule lacking a preformed embryo, the smallest being a single cell. So small spore look like a single cell, just a single cell. There it is many celled spore. This very small, very small. So may be formed following the sexual and asexual process. Maybe by sexual process they form, maybe by asexual process they form. So spore are formed in all division of fungi. So fungi has many division. You will study later on fungi, everywhere fungi. So in all division of fungi, they produce spore. So you can see spore, how they look like. This is elongated and look like a club, the mugurer moto dekhte, look like an insect or something like this, look like this, and this is look like a coil. This is very, what I say, very small, elongated, and to look like this, kidney shaped, like this, flagellated, and you can see different types of spore. So types of spore. So different types of spore, endogenous spore and exogenous spore. So what is endogenous? Based on their production, where they grow. Endo means inside, exo means outside. So endogenous, the spore grow in a structure. Within a structure is called endogenous. So endogenous means endo, inside a structure. So endogenous spore can be divided into two. One is motile spore or zoospore or planospore. We call them planospore. So endogenous spore is a motile spore. We call them zoospore or planospore. And also another type, non-motile spore or a planospore. Planospore means they can move. Aplanospore means they cannot move. Zoospore, they can move. Zoospore also means they can move. But we know in definition, do you remember definition of fungi? So in definition, you remember maybe the fungi cannot move by their own. But here I say they can move by the spore. Actually not like moving. Actually, they have some flagella. So how they move? They just use some, for example, in they can move by in the film of water. In water, they just float, and by their flagella they can move. Move means maybe in their life 1 millimeter, maybe like this, very small area they can move by that way, not directly. And exogenous means the spore produce outside, not in a sac. Sac means or in a bag. আমরা যেটা বোঝাতে চাচ্ছি, এন্ডোজেনাস হলো একটা ব্যাগ লাইক স্ট্রাকচার অথবা স্যাক লাইক স্ট্রাকচারে গ্রো করে। এক্সোজেনাস স্পোর গ্রো ইন আউটসাইড or directly. So no structure develop, or they have no structure covering the conidia or oidea. So two types of conidia, conidia and oidea. Oidea for a special group of fungi. So you know conidia. So I told you that here what is spore, sporophore. In that case, I show you conidia. So here you can see they don't have any sac-like structure. They directly grow. So these are conidia. Here also you can see they directly grow. But here you can see they produce a sac-like structure, a bag, a sac-like structure. Inside of this sac-like structure, they produce spore. So actually they can produce spore inside a sac-like structure. So it is called spore and it is called conidia. Actually, basically, both are spore. Both are spore. For our, actually, we call them sporangiospore. The sac-like structure is called sporangium, so we call them sporangiospore. And these are called conidia. So simply we call them spore. But if we say spore, all are actually spore. So different types of spore, I told you that exogenous and endogenous. So by this way, we can define one is spore, another is conidia. So based on their sexuality, spore may be of different types. So asexual types of spore: blastospore, chlamydospore, arthospores, sporangiospores, conidiospores. So please try to remember all of these: blastospore, chlamydospores, arthospores, sporangiospores, and conidiospores. Please move your lip to read out these: blastospore, chlamydospore, arthospore, sporangiospores, and conidiospore. In case of sexual case, it is zygote, zygospore, zygote, zygospore, ospore, ascospore, and basidiospore. Sexual spore are zygote, zygospore, ospore, ascospore, basidiospore. Asexual spore means you understand. So they have no partner during, or that means without sex with the opposite partner, they can produce spore, and sex is necessary in that case. So partner means not male and female. We cannot say directly in case of fungi, not male and female. Even male, they have two structure. One fungus have male structure, one fungus has female structure. Same fungus has female structure. So we cannot say this is male fungus, this is female fungus. We cannot say. Okay, so spore are these. So we can describe them in details. So here we say endogenous or motile. Endogenous spore are divided into motile and non-motile. Motile spore is called zoospore. Non-motile spore is called aplanospore. And another name of motile spore is planospore. So we can see motile spore or zoospore. Zoospores are motile sporangiospore, and the sporangia in which they form are called zoosporangia. Zoospores are motile sporangiospore. That means zoospore are motile, usually motile. Motile means they can move, they can change their place from one place to another. So they are sporangiospore. So do you remember we say porospore? So sporophore is nothing but the branch which contain spore. So similar word, porangiospore. So porangium. What is porangium? The structure which bear spore. This is called porangium. The structure, for example, these black are here, you can see these are spore. And the structure, inside of the structure, spore are formed. So not this spore, this structure, only this structure is called sporangium. So sometimes these spore which grow inside the sporangium, we can call them zoosporangium. So this sporangium contains zoospore. You understand? So here zoospore are motile sporangiospore, so they are motile, motility, they can move, and the sporangia in which they form are called zoosporangia. So you understand zoosporangia. Zoos means they have motile spore. Spore bear flagella for locomotion. Locomotion means cholachol. So spore bear flagella. So spore have flagella for this movement. Three types of zoospore distinguish the chytridiomycota, hyphocytridiomycota, and omycota. These are three types of fungi, three groups of fungi. Maybe somebody will teach you. These are three types of fungi. So there are many types. You have to remember. This will be very easy in future. You will study chytridiomycota, not only chytridiomycota. Inside many groups, many subgroup, families, subfamily species, you will study. I know thousands of fungal name. So it's not so difficult. For you, it's easy in time being. But you have to. Without knowing that, you can't pass in the plant pathology. Okay. So three types of zoospores distinguish the chytridiomycota, hyphocytridiomycota, and omycota. So one is, maybe another teacher will teach you the same thing, but I give you some introduction. In chytridiomycota, single posterior smooth whiplash flagellum. Very long sentence. Flagellum. What is flagellum? If one flagella, technically we call them flagellum. If many flagella, we call them flagella. So flagellum is a singular word of flagella, and flagella itself a plural word. So single, it's a one. So if it is a spore, so single, there is a single. Posterior. Posterior means আমরা যদি বাংলায় বলি পিছনের দিকে. So the fungal can move from here to here, like this direction. So posterior means backside. Flagella projected in the back side of the spore. Single, posterior, smooth. So this is smooth, like not like this. No thorn, no furcated. So they are smooth flagella. Whiplash. If they are smooth, we can call them whiplash. Understand? Smooth whiplash. If they are no thorn or they are not rough, they are smooth. In that case, we call them whiplash. So single, posterior, smooth, whiplash, flagellum. So this is the example of chytridiomycota. here you can see there is a flagellum, okay, but they are not posterior, not back side, but they are projected in the front side. If the fungus go from here to here, if the spore from like this direction, I believe you understand. So this is a single anterior. Front side means anterior, সামনের দিকে, front side. Single anterior tinsel. Here we call whiplash. Whiplash means smooth. Tinsel means not smooth, rough flagellum. So this is a whiplash flagellum. This is tinsel flagellum. So this is the example of hyphocytoriomycota. If some fungus have two types of flagella, what will happen? So if one flagella is backwardly projected, pichoner dike, another flagella is anteriorly projected. So what will happen? So in that case, we call them biflagellate. One is tinsel, one is whiplash. So this is the undergroup Omycota. Omycota, 2O. Omycota. Omycota. Okay, I believe you understand. Omycota. And my PhD on Omycota. Okay, and non-motile spore, aplanospore. So these are normal spore. We will discuss later. So second type is asexual spore type. In here, asexual spore type. Asexual spore type. So number one spore type is blastospore. So what is blastospore? Blast means some blast or bomb blast, you know, bomb blast. So blast, some energy is needed. Energy is needed. Blastospore. So in case of single cell, it's like single cell spore or single cell fungus, how they produce another cell. So somewhere in their body, they make it weaker and they force their body pressure, they give the pressure. So there is a outgrowth occur, budding occur. So there is a outgrowth or budding. So in that case, they give some protoplasm and this again divided. So this type of spore is called blastospore. So these are the same as the bud found on the yeast cell where pressure is needed. So number two is chlamydospore. Very important thing is chlamydospore. Very important thing. So what is chlamydospore? Thick-walled, you know, thick-walled spore that are highly resistant to adverse condition. So these are nothing but a cell of mycelia. You see hypha or mycelia. On the hypha, not all cell. Some cell, they become thick-walled, mota hoye jay. They become thick-walled by different deposition. Cell, they deposit many things in their cell wall and they become thick-walled. And they are highly resistant to adverse condition. Maybe they cannot rot in the water or any other condition. They will be strong. So this type of spore is called chlamydospore. Do you understand? Okay, I believe you understand. Asexual spore type, next one is arthrospore. So these are one kind of, look like one kind of chlamydospore, but not chlamydospore. There are much differences. So what is arthrospore? Fungus have some special hypha, but the hypha, they have believed that all cell of the hypha, they will produce a spore. Not like chlamydospore. You see chlamydospore, they do not produce all cell, and these are very thick cell, and they can resistant the adverse condition. But in case of this here, they have intention, their hypha, so maybe 20 cell or 200 cell. So all cell, they just disjoin, they separate, from their body, and they become, each cell become a spore. So these spores are called arthrospore. Arthrospore. So before separating, actually they made some thickening. They also deposit something. Their thick wall, cell wall also thick. The spore wall also thick, but not like chlamydospore. I believe you understand. Not like chlamydospore. Chlamydospore is highly resistant, but this is not resistance. And in case of chlamydospore, few cell can be converted, but here all cells are converted. So arthrospore, formed by the conversion of a pre-existing hypha. So there is a hypha. So in that hypha, they convert, formed by the conversion of pre-existing hypha. Usually, the wall thickens and the cell separates before swelling of each spore. So a cell becomes separated, and after separation, they become swell, bulged. So they are formed by the disjoining or fragmentation of hypha. So they are formed. How they form? The disjoining. One cell disjoin from the another cell, or fragmentation by cutting, like this way. So you understand what is arthrospore. Another is sporangiospores. So this is also an asexual spore, sporangiospore. So what is these spores? Spore form within a sac, a tholi, bag, sac. Spore formed within a sac at the end of the hypha. If it is a hypha, special hypha, of course, not vegetative hypha. If this is a hypha, at the tip of the hypha, there is a sac. So spore form in this sac. So this sac is called sporangium. Do you remember? I told you sporangium. There I written here sporangium. Sporangium. So these are called sporangium. And angium, spore plus angium, porangium. Angium means a sac. So spore bearing sac. So porangiospore, spore form within sacs at the end of the hypha. So at the end of the hypha, they are called example of rhizopas. So in this porangium, they produce some spore. They are without sex. So they are asexual spore, very small spore, and thousands, billions of spore. And this spore can produce new fungus. And another one, conidiospore. Now you understand what is conidia. Conidia exogenously born, and spore formed by extrusion of a single cell from the specialized hypha. From this specialized hypha, conidiophore we say, from there they just prepare one by another spore. These spores are not enclosed in a sac. For example, penicillium. You know penicillium, very important fungus, penicillium. You also study penicillium. So do you remember penicillium? Penicillium developed by, penicillium, the fungus. So one medicine developed from penicillium. The medicine is called penicillin. Do you know who developed penicillin? Who discovered penicillin? Anyone know?
Alexander Fleming.
Alexander Fleming.
Alexander Fleming discovered penicillin from penicillium. Okay. So do you have any question? Suggestion? So, no, not this one. Not this one. You have no question? So 265 students give attendance. I know from where they found the link. And another interesting thing, I will show you. See the slides now is viewed.
Yes, sir.
Okay. So now sexual sport type. Sexual sport type. There are different sexual sport types. Sexual sport type is zygote and zygospore. What is zygote? Zygote is nothing but when two different cell come together and form a structure, it is called zygote. Goat from the gamete. I will tell you what is gamete. In case of asexual case, we call them spore, but in case of sexuality, we call them gamete. So when two gamete, if they have affinity, they come together and prepare a spore. Maybe they prepare inside, there are many spore, but sometimes they do not make only one spore. So this is called zygote. You know zygote, maybe you studied in your undergraduate, HSC or something like this, zygote. So you know zygote. So zygote, when two different spore gamete come together and form a structure is called zygote. Maybe zygote directly act as a spore, directly germinate to produce new individual. And what is zygospore? Zygospore is nothing but spore which form in a zygote. If some spore or more spore form inside the zygote, then we call them zygospore. So here I have written that zygote and zygospore, large spores encased in a thick wall, example rhizopus. There is a mistake. It's rhizopus, RHIJZO, not P, rhizopus. So zygote is formed by the fusion of two gamete. When two gamete fusion, you know fusion? So fusion means union, two gamete. Union of two gamete is called fusion. Where? Okay. Union of two gamete is called fusion. So this is zygote and zygospore. It is usually non-flagellated and non-motile or motile. It is usually non-flagellated and non-motile or motile. It is the net result of sexual reproduction and always diploid. They are diploid cell. You know, when zygote produce, they actually two from different gamete and they fuse in together, so they are diploid. They are not haploid. And you know, sexual spores produce not much, only few sexual spore produce in their life cycle. So another spore is ascospore. Ascus is a type of, or what I say, type of structure. So ascospore, it's a special group of fungi. So Ascomycotina or Ascomycota, some teacher will teach you ascospore, Ascomycota also. So ascospore, spore within a pea pod like structure known as ascus. So here you can see pea pod, badamer moto ekta structure. Inside they produce some spore. So this structure is called ascus. So this spore is called ascospore. So example, penicillium and aspergillus. So penicillium you see, this is also penicillium and this is aspergillus. So they produce asexual spore as well as here example penicillium branching pattern. These are penicillium branch pattern, and aspergillus. This is aspergillus linear pattern. They produce spore or conidia, but this is asexual. But here this is sexual spore, ascospore. Same fungus produce asexual and sexual spore. Basidiospore. Basidium, you can see there is a structure. এটা একটা মুগুরের মতো একটা স্ট্রাকচার মনে হয়। মুগুর তো মনে হয় তোমরা চিনো, যেমন কুকুর তেমন মুগুর একটা শব্দ আছে, ওই রকম মুগুরের মতো একটা স্ট্রাকচার। So it is called basidium. So this spore which born on basidium, they are called basidiospore. So maybe one teacher, maybe Dr. Ali Hossein or some other teacher will teach you Basidiomycota. There are another big group. You will take class 5 to 7 class for or some classes for basidiospore. So these are formed following the meiosis born on a basidium. So this structure is called basidium and basidiospore. Ospore. An ospore is a thick-walled sexual spore developed on the fertilized oosphere in some fungi and oomycetes. Some oomycetes and fungi, they produce some female-like structure, female egg-like structure. So these are called ospore. Ospore. Ospore actually word come from the oomycota. O. So ospore. Ospore come from these oomycota, oomycetes. This is actually now we do not say oomycetes are fungi because oomycetes have some different character than fungi, but still we are study under the mycology. So there are different types of, my lecture is finished. These are not for your exam. So many people give the different types of or what I say, separate them by different way. So Sacardon is on type of Sacardo. He also make different types of fungi or spore. So these are based on color. They say hyaline, hyaline. That means colorless, pigmented, like this way. You will find this word hyaline. So one cell, two cell, they give them name, but no need to learn much. Okay. So there are different types of fungus, they are spore. So actually this is a very interesting area to learn. Very big area, very interesting area. So you can see different types of spore, live spore. You can see these are the actually live spore, not drawing. You will see in the microscope this type of spore. You will see, because in plant pathology you have to see all the fungus, bacteria and so on. Synanamorph. There is another phenomena. Two or more types of asexual spore form in the same fungus. It's called synanamorph. For example, you can see these are hypha. So this spore, this is asexual spore produced. Here also another types of asexual spore. So when two types of asexual produce in the same fungus, we call them synanamorph. So example, Ceratocystis fibrillata. So